Because you guys are always so interested, I do a lot of videos on weight loss, specifically fat loss. And in many of those videos, I talk a ton about protein, get more protein, eat your body weight in protein, blah, blah, blah. I talk about heavy strength training. I talk about moving a lot. I talk about drinking a gallon of water a day. But what I don't talk about is insulin. So today, that will be the topic. We're going to talk about insulin and how that can affect your fat loss journey and what's the difference between insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. And which do you want? Which is bad? Which is good? Let's dive in. Welcome to Boom 50 Fitness. My name's Regan, and this is your channel for all things health and fitness in your 50s and beyond. Let's start with the basics. What is insulin? Insulin is a really important hormone that regulates so many different processes in the body. And problems with this hormone are at the heart of so many health issues. Insulin is a hormone that your pancreas secretes, and it regulates the amount of nutrients that are carried through your bloodstream. Many of you out there may be familiar with insulin because you know it regulates your blood sugar levels. But what you might not know is it actually affects your fat and protein metabolism. And this is why so many people are on low carb diets these days. But many people don't really know why they're on them. They just know they're on them because it's going to help them lose weight. But what it does when you eat carbs is it increases the amount of insulin in the bloodstream. Many of you out there might be on a low carb diet or maybe even a low carb diet, but do you know exactly why you're on it besides to lose weight? Well, if you didn't know, it's because a meal that contains a lot of carbs is going to elevate your blood sugar levels. And what happens then is the cells in your pancreas notice this increase and release insulin into the bloodstream. So the insulin then travels around the bloodstream and tells your cells to pick up the sugar. And this is a process that helps regulate blood sugar levels and helps prevent high blood sugar levels. Because left untreated, high blood sugar levels can have some really negative effects on the body. But sometimes these cells stop responding to insulin correctly, and that leads to insulin resistance. And when this happens, your pancreas produces even more insulin to help lower the blood sugar levels. And this can lead to high insulin levels in the blood. And over time, your cells can become more and more resistant to insulin. And this will result in a rise in both insulin and blood sugar levels. And eventually, your pancreas might become damaged. And this can lead to decreased insulin production. And what does it mean if your blood sugar exceeds a certain threshold? Well, it means you have type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes affects more than 9% of adults worldwide. Now let's get into resistance versus sensitivity. They are related because if you have insulin resistance, you have low insulin sensitivity. So here's the difference. If you have insulin resistance, it's harmful to your health. And if you have increased insulin sensitivity, it's really beneficial. So before we take a deeper dive into insulin sensitivity, let's talk about the causes of insulin resistance. One possible cause is increased levels of free fatty acids in the blood. And this can cause your cells to stop responding properly to insulin. And the main cause of having elevated free fatty acids is basically having the presence of too much body fat. Overeating, weight gain, and obesity are all related to insulin resistance. Visceral fat, which is the dangerous kind that surrounds your organs, will release free fatty acids into the blood, as well as inflammatory hormones, which will drive insulin resistance. And even though insulin resistance is more prevalent in overweight people, anyone can develop insulin resistance. Some of the other causes associated with insulin resistance would be high fructose consumption, chronic inflammation, inactivity, and problems with your gut microbiome. And even some genetic and social factors can contribute to insulin resistance. So how do you know if you have insulin resistance? There are several different ways that your healthcare provider can test if you have insulin resistance. Just a simple blood test can determine whether you have insulin resistance. Low LDL, which is the good cholesterol, and high blood triglycerides is another marker that might indicate that you have insulin resistance. So if you suspect that you might be insulin resistant, definitely go to your doctor and get it checked out. And the good news is insulin resistance can be completely reversible with some pretty simple lifestyle changes. One of the simplest ways you can reverse insulin resistance is with exercise alone. And believe it or not, the results are almost immediate. Number 2 is losing belly fat. Number 3 is to quit smoking if you are a smoker. Number 4 is to reduce your sugar intake, and I will link up above a simple way to break your sugar addiction if you think you have one. Number 5 is eating a really nutritious diet that contains mostly whole foods, foods that are unprocessed, and really healthy fats. Number 6 is consuming omega-3 fatty acids. Number 7 is taking supplements, especially something like magnesium. Number 8 is getting a better night's sleep. I'll link below one of my favorite videos with the top 10 ways to get a great night's sleep. All right, I don't know what number we're at, but the next thing is to figure out ways to manage stress, whether that's through deep breathing, some sort of breath work, journaling, meditation, which I love. I will link down below my favorite app called Headspace. I meditate every morning and it just calms me for the whole day. Yeah, believe it or not, it does. And last but not least, I mean, there are probably other ways, but I'm just giving you my top 10. I think this is number 10. It could even be 11, but why not try intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting has been shown to increase insulin sensitivity because that's what you want, the sensitivity, not the resistance. And lastly, I'm going to talk about low carb diets and how they can lower your insulin resistance and increase your insulin sensitivity. According to the American Diabetes Association, foods that are high in carbs and low in fat can actually worsen insulin resistance. And what you love about low carb diets is they can help you on your weight loss journey, and just losing weight can help increase your insulin sensitivity. So low carb diets basically mean just scaling back on any food with carbs or sugar. And the low carb diet that I adhere to most of the time is I eat tons of protein, and then the carbs that I do get come mostly from vegetables and a little bit of fruit. Many people swear by a ketogenic diet to improve their blood sugar regulation, and it works. It can also decrease inflammation and your fasting insulin level. And of course, lose weight, which we all know is beneficial for decreasing insulin resistance. Or maybe you didn't know that, but after today's video, you do. But let me throw out this disclaimer. My degree is in exercise physiology with a strong emphasis on nutrition, but I am not a dietitian and I'm not a physician. So always check with your doctor first before trying any type of diet. There's a couple other ways that I didn't mention earlier that can definitely help with increasing your insulin sensitivity and decreasing your insulin resistance. And I will link below a video about apple cider vinegar. I drink a tablespoon of it every morning. It doesn't taste great, but I do it, and it is great for regulating blood sugar levels. The other thing that I recommend my clients do if they're on a fat loss journey is to go for a little walk after they have eaten, because depending on what you ate, your blood sugar levels will rise a little bit. And if you go out for a little walk after you eat, you're going to be able to stabilize those blood sugar levels a little bit better, and it will just lead to greater fat loss results. So now we know that insulin resistance is bad, insulin sensitivity is good. And the true definition of insulin sensitivity is how sensitive your body is to the effect of insulin. So basically, someone that is insulin sensitive will need less amounts of insulin to lower blood glucose levels. And that's a great thing. I hope this video helped. I really wanted to do it because a lot of people think that insulin sensitivity is a bad thing, and it's not, and that insulin resistance is a good thing. So let's just swipe them out. Remember, insulin resistance bad, insulin sensitivity good, and I hope I gave you some great tips to decrease your insulin resistance if you have it, and hopefully increase that sensitivity. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you next Thursday. My name's Regan, this is Boom 50 Fitness, your new BFF.